In the heart of a bustling city, hidden in an old, forgotten park, stood a tiny house. This house, dear friends, was home to a family of little mice. This wasn't an ordinary house, oh no. It was a house made from an old discarded boot, nestled comfortably beneath a towering oak tree. It was a sanctuary of warmth and comfort that the family of mice called home. The boot house, with its cozy interior and rustic charm, was a stark contrast to the towering skyscrapers and rushing traffic of the city beyond the park's boundaries. The mouse family was a lively bunch. There was Mama Mouse with her soft fur and kind eyes, always looking after the others. Papa Mouse, with his strong tail and brave heart, was the protector and provider. The three little mouse siblings, Mimi, Momo, and Momo's twin, Memo, were full of energy and curiosity, always exploring and finding new adventures. Their world was much different from that of the city dwellers. Instead of the noise of car horns and the hustle of pedestrians, they had the rustling of leaves and the songs of birds. Instead of skyscrapers, they had towering trees reaching up to the sky. Instead of traffic lights, they had the twinkling stars to guide them at night. The park was their playground, the towering oak tree, their protector, the old boot, their home. They lived in harmony with nature, appreciating the simple pleasures. Their life was filled with joy and laughter, adventure and discovery, love and togetherness. And although they were small, their hearts were big. They had each other, and that was all that mattered. Their lives were full of simplicity and harmony, a stark contrast to the fast-paced, bustling city life. So, as the city moved fast around them, the little mice family continued their peaceful existence, hidden from the world in their tiny boot house in the park, living each day with love, joy, and adventure. Now let's dive deeper into their world and discover their little adventures. One sunny morning, the youngest mouse, named Mimi, decided to go on an adventure. The air was buzzing with anticipation as Mimi began to prepare for her journey. Her heart was aflutter with excitement, and her eyes sparkled with the promise of discovery. She packed her tiny bag with all the essentials: a crumb of cheese, a thimbleful of water, and a soft leaf for shelter. Her family watched in awe. Her mother's eyes welled up with pride, while her father's whiskers twitched nervously. Her siblings, though envious of her courage, couldn't help but cheer her on. They chattered and squeaked, their tiny voices echoing through the mouse house. Mimi's heart pounded in her chest as she approached the edge of their cozy home. She looked back at her family one last time, their eyes shining with love and worry. Then she took a deep breath, her tiny nose quivering with determination. With a wave and a tiny squeak, off went Mimi, into the unknown. Mimi's tiny paws pattered on the grass as she ventured further into the park. Our little heroine, Mimi, was on an adventure unlike any other. The park, vast and mysterious to a tiny mouse like her, was filled with towering trees, their leaves rustling in the wind, creating a symphony of nature's whispers. As she moved forward, the soft grass beneath her feet gave way to a patchwork of crunchy leaves, remnants of the previous autumn. Each step Mimi took was a new discovery, a new story. The park was alive with the hustle and bustle of other animals going about their day. Squirrels were scampering about, gathering nuts for their larders, while a family of rabbits munched on clovers, their noses twitching curiously as Mimi passed by. Suddenly, Mimi found herself at the edge of a brook, the water glistening under the warm sunlight. She had never crossed a brook before. She looked around nervously, her whiskers twitching. Just then, a friendly frog hopped onto a nearby rock. "Leap onto the stepping stones, little one. That's how we cross the brook," he croaked. Gathering her courage, Mimi leaped from one stone to another until she safely reached the other side. She felt a surge of joy and accomplishment. Her journey continued, leading her into the heart of the park. Here, the trees were denser, their branches interwoven like a grand natural tapestry. Suddenly, she heard a rustling above her. A bird swooped down, landing on a branch just ahead. "Beware of the cat that lurks in these parts," it chirped before flying off. Mimi's heart pounded, but she was determined to continue her adventure. As she moved cautiously, she could hear the faint sound of a cat purring somewhere. She quickened her pace, her tiny heart beating like a drum. Just as she thought she was cornered, she saw a hole in the tree trunk and scurried into it. Just when Mimi thought she was lost, she saw something that took her breath away. There, in the middle of the park, stood a colossal tree. To Mimi, it was a mountain. Have you ever seen a tree so vast, so towering that it seems to touch the sky? That's exactly what Mimi was looking at. This tree was not just any tree. It was a behemoth of nature, a giant of the forest, a king among the green. Its branches stretched out like an umbrella, a welcoming shelter for all who dared to venture beneath its vast canopy. Its bark was knotted and gnarled, like a wise old face that had seen countless summers and winters pass. Mimi, our little mouse, was in awe. She had never seen anything so grand and magnificent. Her eyes sparkled with excitement and a hint of trepidation as she gazed upon the towering tree. The tree was not just a tree to her, it was a challenge, an adventure waiting to happen. With the heart of a lion, Mimi made her decision. She would climb this giant. She would conquer this mountain. The tree stood before her like a question, and she was ready to find the answer. The air was filled with suspense as Mimi approached the base of the tree. Each step she took was a step closer to her adventure. Her tiny paws touched the rough bark, feeling the stories it had to tell. The tree felt ancient, wise, and full of secrets. As Mimi started her climb, the wind seemed to hold its breath. The leaves rustled in anticipation, and the entire park seemed to watch in silence. Climbing a tree is no small feat for a little mouse like Mimi, but she was not deterred. With each upward move, she felt a rush of excitement. The tree was her Everest, and she was determined to reach its peak. Was it fear that she felt? Perhaps. But it was overshadowed by the thrill of the adventure, the joy of the climb, the anticipation of the discovery. And so, with a heart full of courage and a spirit full of adventure, Mimi began her journey upwards. With a determined squeak, Mimi started her climb, unaware of what awaited her. Mimi climbed and climbed until finally she reached the top. As she paused, breathless and beaming, she looked out over the vast world that stretched out before her. From this summit, the world was a tapestry of colors and shapes, a beautiful panorama that filled her with awe. She could see the green meadows where she and her siblings would play, the sparkling river that gave them fresh, cool water, and the grand old tree that housed their cozy nest. Mimi's heart fluttered with joy. She had done it. She had reached the summit. This was more than just a physical feat. It was a testament to her courage, her determination, and her adventurous spirit. She felt a sense of accomplishment that made her heart swell with pride. This was her moment, her victory, and she would cherish it forever. But as the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, Mimi knew it was time to go home. She took one last look at the breathtaking view, then started the journey back. Down the mountain she went, her tiny feet sure and steady, her mind filled with the memories of her grand adventure. When she finally reached home, her family was waiting anxiously. The moment they saw her, their faces lit up with relief and joy. They gathered around her, listening eagerly as Mimi shared her experience, her words painting a vivid picture of her journey. Their eyes widened in awe, their hearts filled with pride. Mimi was not just their sister. She was a brave adventurer, a heroine. And so, Mimi's grand adventure had come to an end, but the memories of it would always warm her heart. She had ventured out into the world, faced challenges, and emerged victorious. This was not just a journey, it was a tale of courage, determination, and the joy of discovery. A tale that would inspire them all and become a cherished part of their family's story. Mimi's adventure taught her more than she could ever imagine. She saw that the world was much larger than the cozy corners of her mouse house. Yet, she discovered that her tiny size didn't limit her ability to explore, to learn, to grow. Mimi learned that courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about facing the unknown despite the fear. She also found out that curiosity, paired with a brave heart, can lead to grand discoveries. Mimi's journey taught her the true meaning of perseverance and determination. She understood that even the smallest creature could make the grandest journeys and the most surprising discoveries. Back at home, her family welcomed her with open paws, their hearts swelling with pride. Mimi had gone out a little mouse, but she returned a great adventurer, a beacon of courage for all. And this is the tale of Mimi, the little mouse with a grand spirit, reminding us all that no adventure is too big if you have the heart to chase it.